In a quiet coastal town where fog hung thick over the rooftops and secrets clung to every alley, lived a girl named Alara. She wasn't extraordinary by any measure, at least, not in her own eyes. She worked at the library, tended to her garden, and often wandered into the nearby forest just to feel something beyond the ordinary. That's where she saw him. One evening, just after sunset, when the trees whispered ancient songs and the air shimmered with unseen magic, Alara stumbled upon a man standing in a glowing circle of mushrooms. He was not like anyone she had ever seen. His hair was silver as moonlight, his eyes a deep violet, and behind him unfurled translucent wings that glittered like constellations. He introduced himself as Kale, a wanderer, but something about him felt older than the trees and heavier than time. Their meetings became frequent. Each encounter felt like a dream spun from stardust. Kale spoke of other realms, of wonders that could never exist in a human world. But whenever he drew near, strange things began happening. Her phone refused to work, streetlights flickered, radios cracked with static. Kale only smiled, saying, "Magic and machines are enemies, Alara. One must always yield." One night, under a silver sky, Kale took her hand and kissed her. That was the moment everything changed. News of Kale's romance traveled like wildfire through the fairy realm. Because Kale wasn't just a fairy, he was the crowned prince of the Moonvale court, heir to an ancient line that had ruled the fair folk for over 1,000 years. And Alara was a human, a species long viewed as dangerous, unpredictable, and worst of all, unmagical. The fairy court was outraged. They summoned Kale, demanding the girl's identity and location. Queen Lyriel, Kale's mother, issued a decree. "Bring the girl to the Moonvale court. She shall stand trial for the contamination of the bloodline. If found guilty, she shall be executed before the silver eclipse." Kale refused. He vanished from the realm, choosing exile to protect Alara. Together, they fled to hidden places, magical borderlands between both worlds. But wherever they hid, human technology failed. Alara's world grew unstable. Planes malfunctioned. Power grids collapsed in cities near fairy activity. Governments began whispering about a magical threat. Some believed it was a terrorist plot. Others, a natural phenomenon. But the truth remained buried. Love was tearing reality apart. And all the while, Kale grew darker. More distant. Sometimes, Alara would catch him staring into the flames with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Alara was taken, not by the fairies, but by humans. A secret organization known as Project Thistle, created decades ago to monitor and suppress fairy activity, had been tracking her for weeks. They knew Kale would come for her. They wanted him to. Kale did not disappoint. He arrived in a storm of moonlight and shadow, tearing through metal walls and digital firewalls like paper. He rescued her, but not before leaving a device planted by the humans untouched. A beacon. By dawn, the veil between worlds began to tear. Fairy armies crossed into human lands. Magic surged like wildfire. Forests erupted in places that had long been concrete. Machines died. Satellites fell from the sky. The fairy queen was furious. But when she confronted Kale, he did not flinch. "You always feared change," he said coldly. "But I embrace it. The humans are flawed, yes, but so are we. We've lived in fear for centuries. I won't hide anymore. Let them come. Let the worlds collide. Let the old fall." That's when Alara realized the horrifying truth. Kale hadn't fallen in love by accident. He had orchestrated everything. He had chosen her because she was the perfect key, curious, brave, and human. His love wasn't rebellion, it was war strategy, and she was just the match that lit the fuse. Alara was brought before the fairy court in chains of light. The queen stood above her, eyes burning with grief and rage. "You have brought death to our borders," she declared, "and for that, the sentence is death." But Alara didn't weep. She looked at Kale, who stood beside the throne, cloaked in royal blue, wearing a crown of thorns. "You used me," she said, her voice clear. "And for what? Power." Kale said nothing. The silence was louder than any scream. But before the blade of judgment could fall, a great rumble split the skies. The veil between the human world and the fairy realm tore open fully. And then something unexpected happened. Humans began arriving, not with weapons, but with memories. Photos, paintings, books filled with fairy tales, proof that humans had loved fairies for centuries, even when they didn't believe in them. Children who had lost teeth and believed in the tooth fairy. Old men who spoke of forest spirits. Writers who crafted stories that gave fairies life again. One by one, fairies began to falter. They saw the truth. Not all humans were destroyers. Alara spoke once more. Love wasn't the weapon, Kale. You were. The queen, with tears in her ancient eyes, raised her hand. No execution, she declared. Not today. Kale was stripped of his title. Banished to the edges of the realm where neither love nor war could reach. Alara returned to the human world, but her soul had changed. The barrier between worlds remained thin. Magic still leaked through, and sometimes, in the whisper of wind, in the flicker of a light, in the shimmer of trees, she still felt him watching. Because love had started the war, but it was truth that ended it. And now, both realms would never be the same again.